Hey everyone, and welcome to the third session of the Perfect Pricing Virtual Workshop. Man, I can't believe we're already on session 3. We only have one more session left. And just to recap, today we're going to go over marketing. So we're going to talk all about your marketing, how to get that attention, how to get those consistent leads in your business. On the first day, 2 days ago, so that was Tuesday, we talked all about pricing your services so that people wanted to purchase. So if you missed that one, there's a link in the description. So we talked about pricing and packaging so that people actually want to purchase what you're selling. And then yesterday we talked all about sales. So once you knew what you were selling and what price you were selling it for, we talked about how to actually make that sale, how to close it. And what I love about what we discussed yesterday really is that you can take what typically takes us, what might be taking you right now a week to do, 2 weeks to close the sale. Sometimes you never even hear back from the client. We take that and we condense it into we get to close the sale and we get people to purchase our services in one phone call. So we take what can be done in a month and do it in an hour or less, which is awesome. So today we're going to talk all about marketing. Oh, and tomorrow, just so you know what's coming up, we're going to tie this all together with mindset. So, after today, you'll have your pricing, your sales, and your marketing all lined up. So in theory, that should be all you need to get clients. But my experience tells me that even when we know what we're supposed to do, if the mindset isn't right and if our actions don't match what we're supposed to be doing, then of course we don't get the results. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the mindsets, the key mindsets that really help you grow a 6 or 7 figure business. So that is not to be missed, because I think, we love tactics. We love to look for tactics. We love to hear and learn about the latest and greatest thing, but really it's the mindset stuff that really sets you apart in the industry. Like if you want to build a 6 or 7 figure business, it's got to start from the inside first. And we're going to talk all about that tomorrow. So today, and I'm looking at my notes. If you see, I've said that every time. I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you, right? I've got my notes just over here because we've got so much. I don't want to miss it. So today we're going to be going over marketing, and there's really four problems I want to solve. And the first one is, how do I get the right person's attention? So if you've ever struggled being like, how do I even get attention? How do I get the right people to pay attention to me? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how do I get a higher quality lead, or in other words, how do you get better clients? That's really what it comes down to, because better leads means better clients. And if you have better clients, you get paid more, you get more satisfaction, and you get to work with cool people. So we're going to talk about increasing that lead quality. We're going to talk about getting consistent leads, right? So like I call it the feast or famine cycle, where you've got clients one month and then no clients the next month. Well, that's caused by not having consistent leads. So we're going to beat the feast or famine cycle by getting consistent leads in your business month after month. And that's going to give you more security as a business owner, because you're going to have consistent clients. And then finally, the internet's acting up again. I reset it. Yeah, that's okay. You see me, I was starting to get frustrated there, but hey, you know what? I remembered what we talked about in session 2, Craig's Law, right? What will go right, what can go right will go right. And we're going to take this as an opportunity to practice what we preach, right? Even if things go wrong, we're going to look at it as a blessing to show humanity, to show you can still do this stuff even when technology doesn't agree with you, right? Okay, so the last problem we want to solve is, what if I hate blank marketing tactic, right? Like, what if you just don't like marketing? We're going to talk about that, and we're going to fix it. We're going to solve it for you. Okay, so, I always like to relate this back to me. I think the biggest case study, the one that I know most intimately, is myself, right? So I like to open up my business and my experiences to you as much as I possibly can. And today is no exception, because when I first started my business, I was coming off the heels of a lot of really big successes. I worked for the Walt Disney Company and did really well there. I worked for Edelman PR in LA and did really well there, got some really great successes. And then I moved on to a large nonprofit in Utah and just raised donations through the roof year after year. And so I came out of these experiences thinking, hey, I know PR, I know marketing. And that was really part of my core, right? I was like, I am a marketer, I know marketing. And things didn't work out very well. We've already talked about that. Like, I really struggled. And looking back on it, it was a lot of stuff. It was my sales, it was my pricing, it was my packaging, it was a lot of stuff. But really, when I started to look at it, my marketing was not going well either. And what I really realized when I really took a look at it and said, what's going wrong with my marketing? I realized that I was doing way too much marketing and I wasn't getting traction in anything, right? I was just spinning my tires. Like, I was doing all the social media I could think of. I was doing blogging. I was trying to do podcasting. I was doing video. I was going to networking events. I was hustling harder than, anyone I knew. I was trying to really just grind it out and really get clients in the door. And what I realized was, when I really looked at it, yeah, I was doing all this stuff, but nothing was coming from it. And what I decided to try was, I said, I'm going to just choose the ones I think are going to be the biggest performers for me. And I'm just going to narrow it down and just focus on those. I thought if I went deep with my marketing tactics rather than wide, I would get a better result. And so I chose actually 3 marketing tactics, and I decided to master those tactics, and I really started to see traction. So I chose webinars, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And those were my tactics, and that's what I used. And what I found was I started to develop a mastery over them, so I knew how to use them better than most people, which attracted more people to me. And then the other thing that I noticed was that as I went deeper with each of them, this synergy between the 3 of them started to appear, right? Where all 3 of them now were kind of playing off each other and helping me get clients. And so really and everything started to change for me. Everything started to change. And that coupled with my sales process and my packaging, it all just started coming together, and the marketing was that gas on the fire that just got this thing humming, right? And I think this is kind of a side note or a tangent, but marketing's purpose is to create attention. And so before you even start thinking about marketing, we're going to talk about marketing today, but there's a reason why we did the pricing and the sales first. Because if you don't have that stuff really in place, then you can do all the marketing you want, but it's not going to do you any good, right? You could pay for $1 million in Facebook ads, but if you don't have a good sales process and a good offer, guess what? Nobody's going to purchase. So it's better to get those stuff done first and then move on to your marketing, so that, once that marketing starts humming, it really is the gasoline on the fire that sales just start coming in. That was kind of a side note. And it made me lose my focus. But I'd love to hear what you're thinking about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What I really want you to do, the takeaway here is, and ask your questions too in the comments if you have any. But what I really want to get here is focus. And there's really 3 things that I want you to focus on. I want you to focus your target, your niche. I want you to focus your tactics, your marketing tactics. And I want you to focus your time, right? So the 3 T's we want to focus: target, tactics, and time. And let's look at all 3 of those. And as we do that, these are going to naturally solve those problems that we outlined before. And let me go back. How do I get the right person's attention? How do I get quality leads? How do I get consistent leads? What if I hate a certain marketing tactic? Okay, you focus these 3 T's, and all that stuff's going to start falling into place. So let's look at them. First, we're going to talk about focusing your target market. Now, niching down is one of the most important things you can do. And I find that when we talk about niching down, lots of people really get a little bit anxious, right? It's tough to commit to and focus on a target audience or a niche. But here's the truth. A niche is not about excluding people. It's not about, making things narrow so that you can't let anybody else in. It's not about exclusion. It's about activation. The truth is, we live in a very noisy world. And if you don't laser focus in on a group, they're never going to pay attention to you. The example I like to put is like, it's kind of like you're at a party, right? And if you stand in the doorway, imagine a huge party, like hundreds of people in this party, and you stand in the doorway with a bullhorn and start like yelling at people, "Hey, come buy my stuff." No one's going to pay attention. Sorry, I just got this image in my head of me going, "Come buy my stuff, yeah, yeah." I just thought that was kind of funny, so I giggled because I get these images in my head. But nobody's going to pay attention to you. In fact, they're going to be really annoyed that you've got this bullhorn at the front of the room. But let's switch that idea. Instead of going to the whole room, let's say you start choosing individual groups of people, 5 people here, 10 people there, 3 or 4 people here, and you start visiting these individual groups and start having conversations with them. And in the midst of the conversation, you start saying, "Hey, I think you could use this service. Would you like to learn more? Would you like my consultation?" You're going to have a lot more success. So the marketplace is the party, right? There are tons of people at the party, and they're all congregated into groups. And your job is to go and find a niche, a target market where it's a small group, and you can go and talk to them. And as you talk to them, they'll start to congregate around you. They'll start calling more people in, and you're going to get a lot more traction. You're going to make a lot more sales, and you're going to reach a lot more people by starting with the really focused niche, right? Starting with one group of people inside of that party. Now, here's the thing, just like at a party, if you were talking, sure you've had this experience. You're talking to somebody, and then somebody in the group next to you overhears and says, "Hey, what'd you just say? I thought, I'm really interested in that. Let's talk about it." And they come over and join your conversation. Well, niche is the same way. This isn't about excluding other industries or other people. If they hear about you and want to work with you, fantastic. Let's invite them in. Let's have that conversation. Let's service them and get paid for that work, right? So it's not about exclusion, it's about activation. So you need to choose a target market, a target niche. And here's the thing, the more narrow you go, the better it will be. So really, think about finding your niche of a niche of a niche, right? Like, here's my niche. It's service professionals. Okay, great. Now, in that service professionals, who do I really want to serve? Well, maybe I want to serve accountants. Well, great. In accountants, is there another niche? And I don't know the accounting industry very well, but maybe there's like a end-of-year tax accountant for $1 million businesses, right? Like that, maybe that's a niche that accountants serve. Well, maybe I want to provide services to that niche of a niche of a niche. And here's the thing, is that may seem really small, and I'm even making, small finger movements right now, but that represents millions of dollars worth of market space. And if you're the person that is known throughout that niche for, hey, when you've got this problem and you're this person, you come to me, man, the power behind that, it's great. And you can always go up a rung. Imagine your funnel, right? And here I'm making hand motions. Imagine your funnel, your sales funnel, and at the very top, that wide portion is like a huge, that's like service professionals. And then a little bit, the smaller portion in the middle, that's like accountants. And then the little small portion at the bottom, that's like those $1 million business tax accountants. Okay, you can always widen your funnel as you go, right? Like you start with the small one, and as you get success, you say, hey, I actually want to service all accountants. So you go a little bit bigger. And then you're like, hey, actually, I want to service all service professionals. You go a little bit bigger. But by starting small, you're going to get more money. You're going to get more traction. You're going to get more done. And what I have found is that most people, once they start servicing their niche, they don't ever go big because there's so much potential. There's so much money, and it's so satisfying that there's no reason to. It's just so much easier. Really, that's how you're going to get traction. So niche down. Now, what you want to do with this niche is you want to take it and you want to package it into what I call a results-oriented marketing message. Now, this is classified in my mind as marketing because it's your results-oriented marketing message. But really, this is the foundation to your entire business. This might be the most important thing we talk about in this 4-day workshop. So pay attention, get a piece of paper. I'm dead serious. This is a game changer. Your results-oriented marketing message. Now, what that is a short statement that becomes your marketing theme. It's your guiding light. It tells you what you do, who you work with, and what you do for them. Did I say that twice? Who you work with, the problem you solve, the problem they face, and the result you provide. There we go. That's how we're going to say it. So 3 things. Your niche, the problem they face, the result you provide, the ultimate result. Package those 3 things together into a 2-sentence marketing message, and that becomes the basis to everything. It's the basis of all your marketing content, all your messaging, right? It's the basis to your sales process, right? We talked about selling based on getting someone a result. Well, this results-oriented marketing message is that ultimate result that we're talking about. On your packages, right, and your pricing, we talked about basing your packages around getting a result. This is what we're talking about, that ultimate result that is outlined in your results-oriented marketing message. And when you make this transition to where you really embrace your results-oriented marketing message and you truly embrace your niche, holy cow, the sky's the limit. Your growth is going to be insanely crazy. Like, this is a super important part of your business. So you got to create a results-oriented marketing message. And I'm going to give you a formula that you can use to just fill in the blanks, right? So I want you to get, as I said, this is probably the most important thing we do in the entire workshop. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to just write down this fill in the blank sentence, and then I want you to fill in the blanks. Okay, you ready? And I'm going to look it up so that I don't mess it up. So let me look at my notes really quick. Okay, so I work with blank niche, right? Blank audience. I work with blank. That's your first blank. Who are frustrated because blank. That's the problem you solve, right? And then the third, and then period, that's the end of a sentence. Second sentence, I help them to blank. And that's where you're going to put your ultimate result. So again, we're going to outline those 3 elements of this marketing message. Your niche, the problem they face, and the ultimate result that you provide. So I work with blank person who are frustrated because blank problem, and I help them to blank result. And, this is a fill in the blank formula. You don't have to use this word for word. Like, if you want to wordsmith this and change it around, but it's those ideas that you really want to get in there. And if you use this formula, it's going to get you to a really good spot. So let me, I practice what I preach. So this is my results-oriented marketing message that I use. I've used it for several years, been very successful with it. And it is, I help entrepreneurs who are frustrated because their business isn't growing. I help them to land more clients faster than they think possible. Okay, so who's the niche? Entrepreneurs. And, I'm going to open up, be really transparent with you. My real niche is communications professionals, so marketing, PR, and social media pros. So depending on where I'm marketing, I might actually change that word. Like, if I'm marketing to, I've done webinars for PRSA, like the Public Relations Society of America. So if I'm doing a webinar to PRSA, I'm going to say I work with PR pros, right? If I'm doing a webinar here with you guys, where lots of you are mixed between marketing, social media, PR, I'm going to say entrepreneurs, right? Because that's going to be more applicable to you. But I know in my head, I'm going after those communication pros, right? So that's who I work with. What's the problem? They're frustrated their business isn't growing. Oh man, okay, what's the ultimate result? Ultimate result is land more clients faster than they think possible. So it's kind of the opposite of the problem, right? The problem was their business isn't growing. What's the opposite? Well, business growth would technically be the opposite, but landing clients is what they're looking for. So you put that all together, and that's going to help you really focus in. Think about this. So first of all, the ultimate result, if we relate it back to what we've already talked about, your packaging, your pricing, and your sales. If you really own your ultimate result and your niche, you're going to start attracting people into your sales process that fall into that niche. So your sales process is going to be really geared towards helping those people. It's going to make it even more valuable, right? Like if you only work with family lawyers, then you know what family lawyers face, right? So you're going to, in your sales process, talk about things they care about. And then your packages, they're going to be really defined to that person. So all of this is going to make your stuff really compelling. And then think about this also in terms of your tactics, which is actually the next one. So maybe we'll just move on. So first is create your results-oriented marketing message. You've got that formula now. Now let's move on to the next thing that you need to focus up, and that is focusing your marketing tactics. Now, if you remember my story, I talked about I was doing all of these marketing tactics. Like seriously, I was blogging, I was podcasting, I was doing video, I was networking, I was doing webinars, I mean, the list went on and on and on and on. And I was overwhelmed. And what I even realized was that I couldn't get a client, because if I did, I wouldn't have enough time to do my marketing because I'd have to service my client, which means I couldn't get more clients. So like I was in this like catch-22 of like too much marketing that wasn't working, so I couldn't get clients. But if I got clients, I couldn't do my marketing, so I couldn't get clients. Like it was this weird cycle, right? So focus in your tactics. And what we really want to do is focus in on just 3 tactics. Just 3. That's it. And we want to go really deep with them rather than going really wide. And think about it this way. Okay, so if we've got our defined niche, we've focused who we're going after, now we can start choosing marketing tactics that really appeal to that person. So even within, like, let's say networking, okay? Networking is a good tactic. That's why it exists. That's why people use it. But if you're looking for, we'll stick with the example of lawyers. If you're looking for lawyers, going to the Chamber of Commerce is probably not the best place to network. Like there might be a few there, but the majority of those people are not lawyers. You want to go to networking events where like 80% to 100% of the people who attend that networking event are your target audience. So like a family law convention or a meetup group, right? Some sort of lawyers association, right? Like those would be great places for you to go to meet those people because that they're naturally congregating there. So focusing your audience helps you focus your tactics. And when you focus your tactics, you get more results. The example I like to put is marketing is a lot like digging a well. And I'm a Missouri boy, raised in the country, right? So digging a well, okay, kind of makes sense. We had a well on my property, my parents' property, growing up. But a modern day well, I'm not a hillbilly as much as I just described myself as a hillbilly. I'm not. A modern day well is actually not what you would think. Like it's not like the Cinderella wishing well, really big bucket of water. It's actually just about the size of a softball. So like maybe the size of your fist, right? And it goes really, really deep into the ground. So this really thin hole that goes really deep into the ground until it hits water. Now the cool thing is once it hits water, it can provide for generations. Like that water can provide for a family for generations. So it's the same thing with your marketing. Take 3 tactics, just a narrow, focus in your tactics, but go deep with them, master them. And when you hit the spring of clients where you know how to do networking, you know how to do LinkedIn, you know how to do live video, you launch something, whatever it is you're choosing, you know how to work those things so that it gets clients. And when you get to that point, man, those clients are going to come month after month after month. All you have to do is the consistent work to get them, and those clients are going to be flowing in. Okay, so focus your audience, your target, focus your tactics. Now let's talk about focusing your time. And we're going to talk more about this tomorrow in mindsets, because the way you think affects what you do, and what you do is how you get your results, right? So like this is really a mindset topic. However, I want to talk about it right now because it also has to do with marketing. So time is the most important asset you have. You can't get it back, right? So you need to make sure that you're doing things that really do get you the results that you want to get. So I want to do a little activity with you. I want you to take out, on that same piece of paper that you had, and with a pen, and I reached for a pen instinctively, right? Get a piece of paper and a pen. I did it myself. And I want you to write down, just make a to-do list of what you did yesterday. So I guess it's not a to-do list, it's a to-done list, right? 'Cause you did it yesterday. Man, that was a dad joke, wasn't it? A to-done list. Um, so I want you to make a list of everything you did yesterday. Okay, so just what did you do for work, not for necessarily for your personal stuff, but what did you do during business hours? Did you check your email? Did you do any marketing? Did you do any sales? Did you do any services? Right? Did you call any clients? What did you do yesterday? And just go right now. I'm kind of talking to give you time to do that. Maybe I'll grab a drink real quick while you make your list. Okay. So whatever you got, that's fine. We could do this for the whole day, but whatever we got, that's fine. Now I want you to take a look at that list, and I want you to categorize everything you see there into these 4 categories, okay? And you could just abbreviate. So you can use, long-term value. So you can write down LTV if it's a long-term value. And what that means is that it was something important. Excuse me, that drink. There was something important but didn't directly lead to getting a client, right? So this would be things like developing a new service, or like admin stuff in your business, right? Bill collection or balancing the books. Like, they're very important, but they don't directly lead to getting a client. Long-term value. Okay, so the next category is CGA, which stands for Client Generating Activity. And these are activities that directly get you clients. Like, you do this thing, you get a client, right? Sales call. You hold a sales call, you get a client. Webinar. You hold a webinar, you get a client. Networking event. You go to a networking event, you get a client, right? Like, directly correlate to getting a client. Okay, the next one is PSD, paid service delivery. So this is stuff you're doing that you get paid for. So this is like, client hired you to do blank, you did it, you got paid for it. Like, billable hours, right? That's what we're talking about. And then the last category is LD, low dollar. So go through, and that's, time wasters. It's like, I got on Facebook and perused it for an hour. Low dollar, right? Okay, so those are our 4 categories: long-term value, client generating activity, paid service delivery, and low dollar. Go through your list, categorize those things. Where do they fall? Right? And what you're going to notice is that if you need clients and you don't have a lot of client generating activities on that list, that's why you don't have clients. Was that moment of truth right there? You don't have clients because you're not doing the things you have to do to get clients. It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? But it's not, because long-term value and client generating activities, long-term value has a sneaky way of making us feel like we're doing something really good, and we are. But when we need clients, we have to really focus on those client generating activities. And if in your marketing, you can focus in your time so that you're only doing the client generating activities, then you win. Like, that is, you are going to save so much time by doing that, right? So, like, for instance, here's a really good example. Blogging, right? Blogging can be very good. It can be a great lead generator, great brand builder. It's a good example. Writing the blog post is long-term value. Doing the research for the blog post, long-term value. Pushing that publish button, client generating activity. Pushing the button on advertising to drive people to the blog, client generating activity, right? So even within this tactic of blogging, we can see that there's some long-term value, there's some client generating activity. So what if you could cut in half your research and writing time? What if you could really tighten that up so that instead of writing, it takes you a week to write a blog post, what if it took you one day, you batched it all together, and you wrote, like 8 blog posts in one day? Like, you got it down and you focus that up. And then you maximize your time of pushing that publish button. Bam, 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 bam. Now we're pushing publish more than we're writing and researching, and we're investing into those ads, bam, 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 suddenly there's a lot more movement on the client generating activity side, and that marketing tactic, I'm using my hands, to motion, starts to really hum, starts to really move for you. That's what we're talking about here, right? You got to get those pieces moving, because I knew a guy who spent an entire year writing blog posts without ever pushing the publish button. An entire year writing blog posts, never pushed publish. How many clients do you think he got? 0. Got none. The reason why is because the writing doesn't get you clients, the publishing does, right? The writing doesn't get you clients, the advertising does. The traffic does. So you got to get traffic on there, and you've got to push that publish button. And that's how you get clients. So you got to look at, how do I get, where are my client generating activities, and how can I maximize my time there? And then you look at your long-term value activities and say, okay, what's the best activity here, and what can I cut? Like, it gets really tough when you've got a bad activity and a great activity. It's really easy to say, oh, I'm not going to do this bad activity anymore. But when you've got like 5 great activities and you're like, I'm going to cut out 3 of these 5 so that I can save my time and I can focus on the client generating activities, that's tough. But that's the decision making that a CEO makes, right? That's what a CEO does. He or she makes those calls. Okay, so those are our 3 T's, right? Focus your target, focus your tactics, focus your time. You do those 3 things, and your marketing is going to start taking off for you. Now let's see if we solved our problems. Let me go back here on my notes and see our problems again. How do I get the right person's attention? You got a niche. Focus your niche, focus your tactics. You'll start reaching the right people. How do I get higher quality leads? Same answer. But let's couple that with, how do I get better clients? If you start bringing in higher quality leads on a consistent basis, that's going to give you the power to say, no, I'm not going to work with this person if they're not a good fit. It's really hard to say no to someone who's not a good fit when you're desperate for clients and money. But if you've got consistent leads coming in and you're going to have 5 more sales conversations this month, this particular person isn't a good fit, you can say no, you can stand fully in integrity and get better clients because you know that you've got other ones in the pipeline. Consistency in your marketing, in targeted niche, targeted tactics, that's going to get you better clients overall. How do I get consistent leads? I just said it. Consistent marketing means consistent leads, right? And consistently doing client generating activity, that really is what leads to consistent leads. What if I hate blank marketing tactic? Then choose a different one. You only need 3. Now, since we're on that subject, I have found many times that people who say, I don't like blank tactic, one of 2 things. One is that they're doing the tactic wrong. I hear this especially with networking. Networking doesn't work, or networking, I hate it. Like, it's so sleazy and slimy. Well, it's because you're being sleazy and slimy when you go networking. That's the truth. You get what you put out there. So if you're going out there and your only concern is gimme clients, money, like, of course it's going to feel sleazy and slimy. Like, hello. But if you go to the right events where all of your clients are there and you're more concerned with building relationships and helping people, then networking is fun, right? So that's number 1. Most people who say, I don't like blank tactic, lots of times it's because you're doing it wrong. Your intentions are wrong. So fix what's inside. Really master that tactic. It'll start working for you. It'll feel a lot better. And number 2, okay, so these are truth bombs, and I'm sorry if this really hits home or cuts deep on you. But lots of times the other thing is you don't like anything. And this actually isn't a question about the marketing tactics. This is a question about what's going on inside you, that you're unwilling to put in the work, you're unwilling to commit, you're unwilling to step outside your comfort zone to get what you want. Right? And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So that's a good segue. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So if that sounds like something might be going on with you, and let's face it, every entrepreneur faces this inner game work. You've got to face it, because no matter how good you were in the corporate world, once everything relies on you, the game is different. And all of the insecurities you never thought you had, they're going to start coming to the forefront. And, next level, next problem, right? Like these inner game stuff, they don't go away. You just got to keep facing them. You got to keep overcoming them. And you know what? You're strong enough to do it. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow we're live again, 11 a.m. Central here on The Sweet Spot. If you're watching a replay on YouTube or LinkedIn, I really encourage you, come join the Sweet Spot community on Facebook. It's free to join, and then you can participate live. You can be here live with us. Tomorrow is our very last session for this virtual workshop, but we do training every month. There's a training every month. We don't go this deep, but we do bring great stuff, and we do stuff like this. We're going to start doing this more often on a regular basis. So come join the Sweet Spot. Link is in the description. And tomorrow, make sure that you attend live. It's going to be probably the most powerful session we're doing, because without the mindset stuff, you won't do any of the other stuff. We're also going to finally talk about the Core 4 courses, how you can get in on that program and start getting all of this stuff. If this workshop has been helpful for you at all, we go so much deeper in the Core 4 courses, and I'm going to make you such an amazing offer with so much free bonuses. I am so excited for it, and we finally get to talk about it, finally get to share it tomorrow. So I hope you're excited for that, and I will see you tomorrow. See ya.